Hi, this is Robert Harrison, Training Director here at NLP Institute of California. Now in this video, I'd like to share with you 6 rules for healthy relationships. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to think about this and there's a lot of different models out there, but these are 6 rules that I live by and I share with my clients, and I would like to offer them to you, and I hope that they serve you well as they have served me. So here it is. Rule number 1. Relationships are not like houses and they're not like cars. You don't ever get a fixer-upper. That's right, folks. What that means is if you can't live with how your partner is right now as they are, then you've got the problem, not them, because you cannot expect other people to change. In reality, it's very unlikely that other people are going to change. Now, many of us who are into personal development or neurolinguistic programming or hypnosis may be on a self-actualization path or a personal development or even professional development path where we are actively evolving. And in that case, we are changing over time. So one way to align with someone else who is also that way is find someone with similar values, similar belief systems, who also has a similar goals and a similar path, and ideally who is growing or evolving at a similar rate. And that would likely be a very good match. But if you're thinking, I really like this other person and I just got to change this and this and they'll be perfect, be careful. You know, you can change the color of your house, you can add something or customize your car, but you may not necessarily be able to do that with another human being, so be careful. Rule number 1, relationships are not like houses and they're not like cars. You don't ever get a fixer-upper, okay? All right, number 2, a good partner, finding a good partner is like a good pair of shoes. No one is any better or worse than others, but some are obviously and likely to be a much better fit. So find a good fit for you. Now, is a size 6 shoe any better than a size 9 shoe? No, but one is bound to be a better fit. So you want to find a good fit for you and be okay if what is a good fit for you is not necessarily a good fit for your friends or family or other loved ones who may have a personal interest in you and your life. Okay, you want to find a good fit for you. But here's one caution. You know, many of us, since we're talking about shoes, have had that experience in the past, I know I have, where we see a pair of shoes in a window when we really like them and we imagine wearing them and how good they're going to look and how cool it's going to be and the different outfits we'll put them together with. And yet when we go in and try them on, for some reason they don't fit quite right. But we really liked them and we really wanted them and we already imagined ourselves wearing them to the party or the concert or the event that we were going to go to. And so we kind of try to overlook that and maybe we kind of, you know, start to mislead ourselves or fool ourselves a little bit with some of these common things like they'll stretch, right? I just need to break them in. I need to wear them a little bit. It's new leather. And, you know, if you're like many of us and you've tried doing this, what ends up happening is we get them, we squeeze our feet in, we go to 1 or 2 events, but our feet just hurt and ache. And every time we try to wear them, we get reminded that it's not really a good fit. And unfortunately, sometimes relationships play out exactly the same way. So rule number 2, a good partner is like finding a good pair of shoes. No one is any better than the other, but one is bound to be a better fit for you. Find a great fit for you, okay? All right, rule number 3, if you really love someone, you want what's in their best interest. And that means even if it doesn't include you. That's the hard part. It's easy for us to say, hey, I only want what's in your best interest, right? But do you really want what's in someone's best interest, even if that means leaving you? Right? If you really love someone, you generally want what is in their best interest, even if that doesn't include you, which means even if you love the other person, if you realize being in a relationship with you is toxic and is hurting them, then perhaps the right thing to do is to remove yourself from the relationship. There was a woman that I had worked with whose husband was a very famous artist, and they had this studio, and so after her husband died, who she worked side by side with for years and years and years, her son was brought in and he worked side by side with her in his place. Now he had a family and a life of his own, and over time we don't know exactly why, but he had started to develop some autoimmune disorder that started to affect his nerves and his ability to feel. And so when I was working with his mother, with this female client, to help her try to understand how she could help her son more, one of the things we had to take a look at is how she was approaching helping her son. She was approaching it from what seemed like a very altruistic, genuine place of love, which it was, but it was a bit misguided because all of her focus was on how to be the best mom for her son, or what would the best mom do for her son in this situation, or how would the best mom handle or react in this situation with her son. And it was all about being the best mom for her son. And one of the questions that I really need to challenge her with is, what if really doing what's in the best interest of your son doesn't include you? Because that's exactly what needed to happen, is they needed to get some distance and he needed to be able to start to have a life of his own. And sure enough, that also started to improve some of the symptoms. So there you go. Rule number 3, if you really love someone, you want what's in their best interest, even if that doesn't include you. That's real love. That's not possession and ownership and controlling. Okay? All that other stuff is possession, ownership, and controlling. If you really want what's in their best interest, you will want that, even if that means you step aside, take a back seat, or even remove yourself from the situation. Okay? Number 4, a healthy relationship is when both partners are better off together than they are on their own. So let's start by taking a look at the definition of a toxic relationship, right? What can make a relationship toxic, right? It doesn't matter whether it's like psychologically toxic, physically toxic, emotionally toxic. The reality of it is that if the two of you together is bringing you down, right, then it is toxic in some way. That doesn't mean the relationship needs to end, but probably you want to address that if you want your relationship to start to thrive again, right? So in a healthy, thriving relationship, both partners are better off together than they are on their own. They're building something even bigger, even something greater. They're working together. They're thriving more together than they would be on their own. So rule number 4, a healthy relationship is where both partners are better off together than they are on their own. So on a day-to-day basis, you can make sure that you're adding to your partner's life and helping them thrive. And if they're not thriving being with you, then change what you're doing so that they are, and that will help increase the, health of your relationship. All right? Now, number 5, and this one's going to take a little explaining. To survive over time, if you want your relationship to really thrive over time, right, remember what worked in the beginning and keep doing it, okay? And what we mean by that is always create positive associations and anchors to your relationship and to yourself in your partner's mind as much as you can, and at the same time minimize the negative or unwanted or unpleasant ones as much as you can. So remember back for a moment to when your relationship first began, right? In the beginning, everyone looks nice, everyone smells nice all the time, people brush their teeth, they dress nice, we go out on dates, we bring flowers, we do nice things for each other, and we're on our best behavior. And what this does naturally is it sets very positive and yummy and very enjoyable feeling associations with that other person. And it's likely, if you're falling in love, that you are the biggest source of this yumminess and this positive feeling and association in their world, if you are their chosen romantic desire, right? And so you're doing all that naturally in the beginning. But what happens is over time, as we start to get comfortable with our partners and we feel more relaxed, and we may let a belch slip here or a fart slip there, or we start to leave the door open when we go to the bathroom, or we change in front of them. We start to do things we didn't do before. And it's all about, initially it may even feel kind of, wonderful. It's like, oh, they're really opening and they're being vulnerable to me. But what you want to caution yourself against is starting to create those more negative or unpleasant or unwanted associations, because what can happen is those can start to build up over time and start to overshadow and eventually push into the background those positive things you did in the past. And so oftentimes, when people are falling in love and out of love, it's the exact same strategy. When they're falling in love, they're filling that map or that collage in their mind, that complex, with all of the wonderful pictures, sounds, feelings, tastes, and smells about the other person that they love, all those wonderful memories. And down the road 20 years later, when they're ready to scrap it all on the brink of divorce, frustrated with one another, chances are they've now filled that collage with all the things that bug them and frustrate them and annoy them about the other person, which again excludes everything else. Why? We have that limited attention span. So remember, we have a limited attention span. According to George Miller, right, in the magical number 7 ± 2, right, on our best days, about 9 things we can pay attention to. Most days, it's about 4 or 5. So always make sure that you're using and taking advantage of opportunities to set pleasant, positive associations with yourself in your relationship with your significant other. So for example, when you give a gift, it's ideal to give a gift in person. So when they have that wonderful feeling, that surge of dopamine in their body or serotonin in their body, they're connecting it to you and feeling that connection to you at the same time, okay? And that will increase those kind of yummy, positive associations in a very real, very authentic, and very okay way. I would also caution, especially the men here, if you mess up or you upset your significant other, don't try and make it better by bringing her flowers and a gift, because all you're doing is you're setting a negative or unwanted anchor or association with flowers and a gift. So next time Christmas, a birthday, or Valentine's Day rolls around, don't be surprised if she's mad. It'll remind her of that incident if you mark it out with something like flowers and a gift. Better to just apologize, own it, correct the behavior, and then sometime down the road randomly give her flowers and a gift, and don't ever mention that the two are connected. Make it separate, and then she can still enjoy the benefits and you can enjoy the benefits of a good positive association or anchor. Okay, so to survive over time, number 5, always create positive associations or anchors to your relationship and minimize the negative ones as much as possible. And that brings us to our 6th and final rule. Learn how to dovetail your needs, wants, and desires with their needs, wants, and desires. So this means get to know your partner, get to know what they want, get to know what they value, get to know what their dreams are, right? What will keep them up late at night and wake them up early in the morning, and what they're passionate about, and help them fulfill that, right? Learn how to get what you want and to ask for what you want in a relationship where the other person is getting fed mentally, emotionally, or spiritually as well. Because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get some deeper need fed in some way, some mental, emotional, or spiritual need fed. And so when you're trying to get your needs fed, learn how to do it when you're interacting with others in a way where they get their needs fed as well. Because if you learn to get what you want in a way where others get what they want, they'll want to do that again and again and again, because it's a good positive interaction, and they know that you are that well with which they will get filled and they will get what they need. So they're happy to give you what you want because they're getting that in return. And again, another sign of a great, healthy relationship. So I hope that you play with these 6 rules. I hope that you experiment with them, that you use them. Leave me some comments. Feel free to ask other questions. And I hope they serve you well as they've served me. And I look forward to speaking with you more in another video.